Ladies and gentlemen, friends striving for greatness, today I want to talk about something real, raw, and necessary: poverty habits. Not just the lack of money, but the patterns, the thinking, and the choices that silently drain your potential and keep you stuck in the cycle of lack. Because the truth is, poverty is not just a condition. It's often a mindset. And the good news, mindsets can be changed. Habits can be broken. You can reprogram your life. Let's dive into 10 poverty habits that keep people broke, and more importantly, how you can break them. Poverty is often misunderstood. Many people think it's just a lack of money, a number in a bank account, or a shortage of income. But the deeper truth is this: poverty is frequently a mindset. It's a way of thinking, a system of beliefs, and a pattern of habits that quietly, consistently, and powerfully shape the course of a person's life. This is why some people, even when given resources, remain stuck in cycles of lack. Because the problem isn't only external, it's internal, it's mental, it's emotional. And until those inner patterns change, no external solution will last. You see, our thoughts become our actions. Our actions become our habits. Our habits shape our destiny. If a person wakes up each day with the same limiting thoughts, "I'll never get ahead. People like me don't succeed. Money is for the lucky or the corrupt." Those thoughts aren't just idle ideas. They direct behavior. They create hesitation where there should be boldness. They encourage comfort where growth requires discomfort. They convince someone to settle when they were meant to soar. Poverty of the mind manifests in subtle but powerful ways. It's the voice that says, "Don't bother trying, you'll just fail." It's the reflex to spend every dollar instead of saving or investing. It's the habit of envying others instead of learning from them. It's the instinct to blame external circumstances, parents, government, the economy, instead of taking ownership of your future. And it's this mindset, not just the lack of money, that holds so many people back. What's even more dangerous is that this mindset can be inherited. It's passed down, not just in words, but in behavior. A child who grows up in a household where struggle is normalized and ambition is discouraged begins to believe that's all there is. They don't question it because it's all they know. They carry those beliefs into adulthood and repeat the cycle unless they make a conscious decision to break it. But here's the good news: because poverty is often a mindset, it can be changed. Mindsets are not set in stone. They're learned, and anything learned can be unlearned. The moment a person becomes aware of their self-sabotaging thoughts and behaviors, they gain the power to challenge and replace them. That's where transformation begins. Not when you win the lottery, not when someone else rescues you, but when you choose to think differently. It starts with belief. Belief that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are not your past. It continues with discipline. You stop wasting, start learning, and take control of your habits. You read books instead of binge-watching TV. You wake up earlier to build something instead of staying up late, escaping reality. You learn the basics of money, budgeting, saving, investing, because you understand that what you don't know is costing you. And most importantly, you begin to see time differently. The broke mindset lives for the weekend, for the now, for instant gratification. The wealthy mindset values long-term thinking, delayed gratification, and strategic planning. Changing your mindset means learning to endure discomfort today for freedom tomorrow. It means making small sacrifices now to reap larger rewards later. This isn't easy, but it is possible, and it's worth it. Because once your mindset changes, everything else follows. Your income grows, your relationships improve, your confidence soars. Opportunities appear where you once saw dead ends. And eventually, the chains that kept you financially, emotionally, and mentally broke begin to fall away. So if you want to break out of poverty, don't just chase more money. Start by chasing a better mindset. That's where true wealth begins. Spending more than you earn is one of the most dangerous habits that keep people stuck in financial struggle. It doesn't always look dramatic. In fact, it often starts with small choices. A daily coffee, a subscription you forgot about, a few impulse buys that felt harmless in the moment. But over time, these decisions build up. And suddenly, your expenses have quietly outpaced your income. You're constantly behind on bills, relying on credit cards to get through the month, or waiting for the next paycheck just to feel a little bit of relief. And what's worse, this cycle becomes normal. It becomes your lifestyle. Many people fall into this trap because of a misunderstanding of wealth. They think looking rich, having the latest phone, designer clothes, flashy accessories, or eating out at expensive places means being successful. But there's a massive difference between appearing wealthy and being wealthy. One is about impressing others, the other is about building security. One fades quickly, the other creates freedom. And when you consistently spend more than you earn, you are sacrificing long-term peace for short-term appearances. Part of the issue is that we live in a society that encourages consumption. Advertisements tell us we're not enough unless we buy something. Social media shows us curated lives of people spending lavishly, making us feel like we're missing out. And with easy access to credit, it's tempting to live beyond our means without fully understanding the consequences. But that kind of financial behavior is like building a house on sand. It looks fine until pressure hits, then it collapses. When you spend more than you earn, you're not just falling behind financially. You're also increasing stress, limiting your choices, and delaying your goals. You can't invest when all your money is going out. You can't start a business or take risks if you're drowning in debt. You're stuck in survival mode, where your focus is on making it to the end of the month, instead of building a better future. Breaking this habit begins with one powerful act: awareness. You have to be honest with yourself. Look at your bank statements. Track your spending. Identify where your money is really going. Most people are shocked when they see how much they spend on things that don't truly matter. The small leaks in your budget are often the biggest reason you feel financially drained. Once you're aware, the next step is control. Create a budget that works for you, not one that makes you feel deprived, but one that helps you take back control of your financial life. Learn to separate needs from wants. Ask yourself, is this adding long-term value to my life? Or is it just temporary comfort? Learn to pause before spending. Learn to say no, not because you can't afford something, but because your future is more valuable than a moment of convenience. Cutting back doesn't mean living miserably. It means being intentional. It means redirecting your money toward your dreams, saving for a home, starting a side hustle, building an emergency fund, investing in your future. Every dollar you don't waste is a brick in the foundation of your freedom. Also, surround yourself with people who value financial discipline. Being around people who are conscious of their money habits will inspire you to stay focused and make smarter choices. Avoid comparing yourself to people who are living extravagantly. You don't know if they're truly wealthy or deeply in debt. Remember, wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep and grow. You could be making a modest income and still be on your way to financial freedom if you're living within your means. So stop the cycle. Spend less than you earn. Use the difference to build, to grow, to invest. That's how you create lasting wealth. And finally, break free from the grip of poverty. Blaming others or circumstances for your financial situation is one of the most subtle yet powerful poverty habits. It feels justifiable. Maybe you grew up poor. Maybe you were never taught about money. Maybe the economy is bad, or you got laid off, or someone took advantage of you. And while all of these things may be true, the reality is that blame never builds a better future. Blame is easy. Responsibility is hard. But only one leads to change. When you blame others, your parents, your boss, the government, society, you give away your power. You place your future in the hands of forces you cannot control. You start to believe that unless those things change, your life cannot improve. That is a dangerous mindset. Because the more you focus on what's outside of your control, the less effort you invest in what is in your control. And here's the truth. You may not be responsible for how your story began, but you are absolutely responsible for how it ends. Blame creates paralysis. It leads to complaining instead of creating. It encourages self-pity instead of self-improvement. And while it may feel good to vent or to have someone else to point a finger at, it does nothing to change your bank balance, your habits, or your opportunities. In fact, it distracts you from them. Every moment spent complaining about your boss is a moment you could have spent learning a skill. Every hour wasted blaming the system is an hour you could have spent building your future. And slowly, this mindset robs you of time, energy, and possibilities. Breaking this habit begins with a simple but powerful shift. Moving from victim mode to ownership mode. When you start saying, "It's my responsibility," something shifts inside you. That statement doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means you're not waiting for anyone else to save you. It means you're ready to take charge of your life. That shift is where all progress begins. Start by asking yourself, what can I do differently? What can I learn? What habit can I change? What goal can I set today that brings me closer to where I want to be? When you ask those kinds of questions, you activate your potential. You move from helpless to powerful. You begin to shape your life, one decision at a time. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges. You will. Life is hard. Some people do start with more advantages. That's real. But life isn't fair. It's earned. And the people who rise are not always the most talented or the most privileged. They're the ones who refuse to give up their power. They take responsibility for their future. No matter how rough the past has been. Personal responsibility also builds self-respect. The more you own your choices, the more confident you become. You stop making excuses and start making progress. You realize you don't need anyone's permission to grow, to earn, to succeed. You simply need to decide that you're done waiting, done blaming, and ready to build. So stop waiting for someone else to fix your life. No one is coming. And that may sound harsh, but it's actually empowering. Because if no one's coming, then the only person you need to count on is you. That means the power to change, to grow, to rise is already in your hands. When you drop the blame and pick up responsibility, your life begins to shift. Slowly at first, then faster. Opportunities appear. Confidence grows. Momentum builds. And before long, you'll look back and realize you didn't need someone else to save you. You just needed to believe that you could save yourself. The people you surround yourself with play a powerful role in shaping your beliefs, habits, and ultimately your destiny. If you constantly hang around individuals with a broke mindset, those who fear growth, waste time, avoid responsibility, and normalize mediocrity, you will slowly begin to absorb those same thought patterns and behaviors. It's not always obvious at first. You may tell yourself you're different. You may think you're just keeping old friends or being loyal. But over time, who you're around starts to affect how you think, speak, and act, whether you realize it or not. When you're around people who mock ambition, who say things like money isn't everything while staying broke, who spend every dollar they have to look rich instead of getting rich, you subconsciously adopt their standards. You might begin to downplay your dreams to avoid sounding too ambitious. You might feel guilty for wanting more or be discouraged from working hard because no one around you is striving. You might even start to self-sabotage because your environment doesn't support your growth. It resents. This is what's known as crabs in a bucket mentality. When one crab tries to climb out, the others pull it back down. Not because they hate it, but because they're stuck and they want company in their comfort zone. Many people live their whole lives trapped by the energy and mindset of the people closest to them. That's why it's said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that's not just a catchy quote, it's a wake-up call. If your circle isn't challenging you, encouraging you, or helping you grow, then your circle is limiting you. If they only want to party but never want to build, if they spend hours gossiping but never talk about goals, if they mock your ambition or laugh at your personal development journey, understand that they're not meant to go where you're headed. Growth requires sacrifice, and sometimes that means letting go of relationships that no longer serve your vision. That doesn't mean you hate them. That doesn't mean you're better than them. It simply means you're choosing to elevate your environment so that you can elevate your life. It's about alignment, not arrogance. To go somewhere new, you need to be around people who push you, stretch you, and believe in you. People who talk about investments, ideas, and purpose. People who have discipline, who make plans, who support your dreams instead of tearing them down. That kind of energy is contagious too, but in the best way. If you can't find those people in your immediate surroundings yet, seek them out. Join online communities, attend events, watch content from leaders who inspire you, read books by successful thinkers, and absorb the mindset you want to have. The more you fill your life with voices that speak growth, the more your mind will begin to shift. You'll start thinking bigger, working smarter, and taking consistent action. Remember, environment is stronger than willpower. Even the most disciplined person can be dragged down by the wrong influences, just as an average person can be lifted up by the right ones. Your circle is either holding you back or pulling you forward. There's no neutral. If you're serious about breaking the cycle of poverty, then you must be serious about protecting your energy. Start surrounding yourself with people who inspire you to do more, be more, and grow more. Choose connection over comfort. Choose challenge over complacency. Because when you change your environment, you change your expectations. And when your expectations rise, your life follows. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in poverty is because they spend most of their time consuming instead of creating. In a world full of distractions, it's easy to fall into the trap of endlessly watching, scrolling, listening, and reacting. Hours are lost every day on social media, binge watching TV shows, playing video games, or following celebrities. These things provide temporary entertainment, but they add no long-term value to your life. They don't build wealth. They don't improve your skills. They don't help you grow. And while there's nothing wrong with relaxing occasionally, the danger begins when consumption becomes your lifestyle and creation becomes foreign. Creating is what separates those who stay broke from those who build abundance. When you create, you bring value into the world. Whether it's a product, a service, an idea, content, a business, or even a skill you develop that someone else needs. Creation is where opportunity begins. It's where growth happens. Consumers rely on the creators. They buy what creators produce. So the real power belongs to those who are willing to build something, solve problems, or share what they know. When you only consume, you are always dependent. You rely on others for your income, entertainment, knowledge, and success. That leaves you vulnerable. It means your financial future is in someone else's hands. But when you shift your mindset from consumer to creator, you begin to reclaim control over your life. You start thinking, what can I build? What can I offer? What can I learn and teach? What value can I give? This shift doesn't mean you have to become a business owner overnight or invent the next big app. It could be as simple as learning a skill that helps others. Graphic design, writing, coding, editing, speaking, teaching, coaching, or even crafting something physical. You could start a blog, a YouTube channel, a freelancing side hustle, or sell digital products. You could offer your expertise to someone who needs it. Every act of creation plants a seed for potential income and impact. The challenge is that creating takes effort, time, and patience. Consuming is easy, it's passive. It feels good in the moment, but it doesn't lead to transformation. To become a creator, you have to be intentional. You have to decide that your time is valuable and should be spent building something that serves your future. You have to say no to distractions, not because they're wrong, but because your purpose is too important to delay. Start small. Allocate 1 hour a day to creating instead of consuming. Learn something new and apply it. Document your journey. Share your knowledge. Find ways to help others with what you know or what you're good at. Creation builds confidence, sharpens your mind, and strengthens your work ethic. It teaches you to become resourceful, to solve problems, to keep going even when it's hard. These are the traits that build not just wealth, but character. The truth is, every successful person you admire, every author, entrepreneur, influencer, artist, or innovator, made a decision to create instead of just consume. They used their time to produce value, and that value turned into income, freedom, and impact. You can do the same. You have something inside you worth building. Don't waste it by consuming what others are creating. Become one of the people who make things happen. The world doesn't need more passive consumers. It needs more creators. People with courage, consistency, and vision. When you step into that role, everything changes. Your time becomes more meaningful. Your skills begin to grow. Your income starts to reflect your efforts. And most importantly, you begin to escape the trap that keeps so many people stuck. Don't just consume, create. That's the path to freedom. Poverty is often seen as a lack of money, but in many cases it runs much deeper than finances. It's rooted in how people think, how they see the world, and how they make decisions. A poverty mindset isn't about how much is in your bank account. It's about your beliefs, habits, and attitudes that silently sabotage growth. And this mindset is one of the biggest reasons people stay broke generation after generation. You can give someone money, but if their mindset hasn't changed, they'll end up right back where they started. That's why real lasting change has to begin on the inside, because poverty is more about patterns than paychecks. People with a poverty mindset often live only in the moment. They focus on short-term pleasure and ignore long-term consequences. They might say, "You only live once," and use that as an excuse to spend recklessly or avoid planning. But the truth is, tomorrow always comes. Bills come, emergencies come, opportunities come. And if you haven't prepared, you'll miss those chances or struggle to survive them. Living without a plan is like driving without a destination. You might feel like you're moving, but you're not going anywhere meaningful. Another common aspect of the poverty mindset is fear of change, fear of failure, fear of responsibility. People stay in the same job, the same environment, and the same habits because it feels familiar. They might tell themselves it's safer to stay where they are, even if they're miserable or barely getting by. But fear keeps them stuck. It convinces them that risk is dangerous when in reality the greater danger is never trying. Growth requires discomfort. And that's something the poverty mindset avoids at all costs. Blame is also a frequent companion of poverty thinking. People blame their parents, the government, the economy, or their past for why they're struggling. And while those factors may have played a role, continuing to blame them gives away all your power. When you constantly point fingers at outside forces, you're saying you have no control over your future. That's a lie. Your circumstances may not be your fault, but your response to them is your responsibility. The poverty mindset waits for life to change. The growth mindset creates change. The good news is that because the poverty mindset is learned, it can be unlearned. No one is born with it. It's passed down through environment, language, and behavior.
A poverty mindset with
But you
a
can
growth
choose to break that
mindset
cycle.
doesn't
It starts
happen
with awareness,
overnight.
recognizing
It
the
takes
patterns that are holding you back.
consistent
Then
effort
comes the
and
decision to change.
intentional choices.
Even if it's
Start by
uncomfortable,
feeding your
even if it's
mind
slow,
with better
every time you
input.
choose discipline
Read
over
books
impulse,
about money,
learning over entertainment,
mindset,
saving over
and
spending,
personal
or
growth.
responsibility over
Listen
blame,
to
you chip
people
away at that
who
old
are where
mindset.
you
It's not
want
about
to be.
perfection.
Question your
It's about
beliefs
progress.
about wealth, success,
Replacing a
and
poverty
what's
mindset with a
possible.
growth
Ask
mindset doesn't
yourself
happen overnight.
whether your
It
actions
takes
reflect
consistent
someone
effort
who is
and
building a
intentional
better
choices.
future.
Start by
From
feeding your
your
mind with better input.
S.
Read
Just
books about
survive
money,
it. The most
mindset, and personal
powerful
growth.
shift
Listen to
comes
people who are
when
where you want to
stop
be.
seeing yourself as a victim of your
Question
life
your beliefs
and start
about wealth,
seeing yourself as
success,
the
and what's
architect of
possible.
it.
Ask yourself
That's
whether your
when
actions
everything
reflect
begins
someone
to
who's building a
change.
better future
Because when you
or someone who's
believe
just
that you
surviving.
can
The most
grow,
powerful shift comes when you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your life
You'll
and start
taking
seeing
the
yourself
actions
as
that
the
create
architect
wealth,
of it.
not just
That's when everything
financially,
begins to
but
change.
mentally,
Because when you believe that you can
emotionally,
grow,
and
learn, and build
spiritually,
something better,
poverty
you'll
may
start taking
be
the actions that
where
create wealth,
you
not just financially,
started.
but mentally, emotionally, and
Doesn't have
spiritually.
to be
Poverty may be where you started,
you
but it doesn't have to be where you
Change your
finish.
mindset,
Change your
and you'll
mindset,
change your life.
and you'll change your life.